hello to what was supposed to be Digimon Sunday about 8 hours ago, 9 hours ago. So we were registered for the Carta Magica Digimon Tournament, which, if you haven't heard yet in the Digimon community, uh, it did not go well. So everyone was registered, ready to go. We get here. We get about 8 o'clock. There had been about 3 or 4 messages of full deck submissions. I didn't even get mine in until whatever the morning. So that's probably why I was excluded. We'll get there. Sorry. About 8 o'clock. They said there's a very high influx and they're still working on stuff. They said that there was some issue with stuff, so that it's going to take a while. They were going to put out the list of players at like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, right? So 10 o'clock hits, nothing. No words. Nobody at all. Get around close to 11 o'clock, which is pretty much when it's about to start. And they say, something about the cap being at 800 due to some issues in something or other, and so it's gonna take a while to process everyone's decks. And then like an hour, maybe like 40 minutes later, they're like, okay, so what really happened is that our machine or server or whatever that takes in all of the registrations registered over 1,000 people for this 512 player tournament. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the first 512 registered players and we're going to put them in the tournament, and everybody else will give you a refund and give you priority for the next tournament. Problem with that, first off, you've given priority to 500 players plus players, so some of those aren't going to make it into the tournament because there's already more than 500 people in that. So that's already going to be an issue. Plus, that means that's going to be full just on priority. So anybody else who wanted to play that tournament is screwed. Which I guess there's a couple other tournaments. There's more tournaments and some in-play tournaments. So there's whatever. And then, from that, it came out basically by people talking about it that it wasn't by the first 512 people, and this still hasn't been officially confirmed, but it's almost confirmed, that it wasn't done by the first 500 people who purchased their tickets, because there were many people who had 503, 504 confirm money slash times, and then a ton of people with 50s, 501s, 502. I was a 502. I was probably actually a 501, but my money confirmation was 502, so we'll just call it a 502. But there were a lot of 503s and 504s placed into the tournament, which meant that like there's a couple of minutes where they hadn't been registered or paid while the rest of us had. So there were some of us that just should have been placed. And I'm not saying I was one of them, because I at being at 502 and there are a lot of people at 0 and 1, I can see myself still not being placed. But like, whatever. And the fact that they decided to, one, tell us that there was an issue and then lie about what the issue was and then tell us what the real issue was afterward. So if they had two things that they could have realized. One, they could have realized beforehand, 3 things actually, that there was a huge influx of registrations, even though their 512 cap probably was hit, but it was still going. 2, the extra 15 plus grand that was added into their bank account due to 500 people sending $30, 500 plus people sending $30. And then the third would be how fast and how many different times that they did deck registrations, because they did 3 or 4 separate deck registration forms and they all maxed. So that right there should have told you something was wrong, because I think those registration max and I don't know, but like you would think that you would know your registration number amount. So if one hits, you're at like a certain number, you know where you're at. If it starts doing that multiple times, there's gonna definitely an issue, because I've seen it before where one of them hits max and then you do another one and that's fine. So my guess would be like the max would be maybe like anywhere from 250. You know, it would have to be anywhere from like 300 to 500, and then the last like whatever gets their deck submissions put in there. That would be my guess. So you have multiple instances of, hey, our cap is hitting max on these different deck submissions. So that's a third thing that they should have noticed, that there was an issue. So with all 3 of those things leading into, hey, we have more registrations than possible, we should probably let our player base know before the actual tournament day. But they decided to do it on tournament day, an hour after the tournament was supposed to start. And then it just screws everyone else up, because there's no participation prizing. Plus, I'm not even gonna like go off on the people who dropped. There was one guy who wanted to drop before it and was trying to give his spot away. He wasn't. I think he just didn't want to deal with this, because it was an hour and a half later and it was going to be a longer day. So I don't blame him at all. But there are the people who wanted to drop after like round 1 or 2 or 3, and I'm like, dude, I would still be playing right now. Like if there's somewhere on Twitch, I think God, who's doing it? Eggman is commentating today. So on his Twitch, I'm sure that there's still Digimon going on, because that tournament didn't start till 12:30 and was going to go at least 8 or 9 rounds. So that's 8 or 9 hours. We're only at 7:30, 7:45 in my time. So, or this is what the timing that I'm talking. So we're probably at round 7, 8, 6 at lowest, 8 at highest, but I doubt we'd be at 8. We're probably only at max 7. So that just means it's still going, and I would be playing. Like, I would be a person that would love to be still playing regardless of what my score is right now, because I just wanted to play. And I am sad because I like play tested with this. Of course it didn't finish out being exactly how I wanted it to be, because I wasn't getting the finish I was gonna play, which if we have another tournament in this format, I'm not sure we will. I was gonna play an aggressive yellow with the 2 swinging Seraphimon and the War Greymon. So it would be a lot of that, plus the purple add-ins, and what we eventually decided on was some analog use. So that would have been what we played. But it's just a little sad, because that's the first tournament of the season, and I specifically could only really do one of the tournaments. So I chose this one because it was on a Sunday, and it's the better day for me to not work. And then now I'm not playing, so it's a big waste of time. No participation. I was aiming for top 128, which top 128 is not the hardest thing to get to, because it's just be better than 3/4 of the base, which isn't entirely that hard. It's the top 64, which I like to try and really get to, but I wanted a demi V. I just wanted one at least. And who knows if I don't even know what the rest of the prizing is going to be, the rest of the Ultimate Cup. But it was sad, because it was the first. I was super excited for it all week. I've been building myself up, building up. I literally went to the card shop, the only good card shop in any of my area. I went all the way out there to get those BT1 Seraphis, because I didn't have them. Went all the way out there, got some stuff, came home, made the decks, did all the things, and all for nothing. So I'm disappointed. Now After all that ranting about again, I don't blame any of the judges. I blame none of the judges because it's literally none of their faults, and I hate the people who are literally just like yelling at the judges and whatever. It's Carta Magica's fault, like 100%. I'm not saying take away their rights to host games because I've played many Carta Magicas already so far, and they've all gone pretty smoothly. This is the first one that I've seen that they screwed up. But it is their issue, and they should definitely compensate the players that didn't get to play in a better way, and another way of not screwing over the rest of the players. Which, to be fair, there was 1,000 people that signed up for this tournament. That should talk huge to Digimon right now about what their online player base size is right now. So with those 3 tournaments that were available in the first one, the one was a ghost drop, and the other 2, one like nobody got into that I know of, and then this one apparently everybody got into. Um, it wasn't a good start to the Ultimate Cup. It really just wasn't. So the next one being like 5 different onlines and 2 in person is a lot better. So I think the next season next set of tournaments will be better. I'll have a priority on this one at least, so I should hopefully get into this one without any problems, and then hope that there's not any problems with that too. We'll try and maybe do another one. I don't know if we're gonna do. Well, it all depends on what days I have available. But I'd like to do multiple of them, especially after this not being able to play into any of the first set. So it's a little sad, but that's okay. Anyway, we got to see a cute little puppy today. My favorite food that is still currently available is being made again the way I like it, so that was good. So that solved a lot of my sad problems, but I'm still frustrated over not being able to play and being excited for something that now I don't get to do.